Okay, hi, it's Kevin May, Editor-in-Chief of PhocusWire. Ruzwana, Bashir, CEO of Peak, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. So, we're here, we've had a couple of sessions this morning, and it's quite lively.
It is.
I've not heard that kind of, I wouldn't say it's polarised at all, but you get some issues that you kind of hear in the background are really bubbling up to the surface here.
Yeah.
So we'll try and go through some of them.
Of course, yeah.
Okay,
by all means.
so let's talk about what's been going on this year with regards to acquisitions and funding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So working backwards, so last week Amusement was bought by the TUI Group. Your kind of observations on that, given that you're a bigger organisation than them, but you're in that kind of second tier, if that would be a respectful way of putting it in terms of tours and activities, OTAs, which in terms of how much money you've raised and things like that. So you've got the Klook and the Get Your Guides with mega funding, and then there's like this second tier of OTAs that have got that level of funding.
I don't think we consider ourselves an OTA, actually.
Okay.
We're really building software for the businesses and providing all the back-end tours, as well as a place for them to be able to get more bookings. So I think, really, I think we are unique in this space, in the sense that versus us being kind of an OTA only or a booking system only, we're actually providing an opportunity for businesses to have both of their needs.
Yeah, but you started out as an OTA, didn't you?
No, actually, we started out helping people with the demand side with the intention of always building some software. I think what we've actually done right now is actually double down on the software side quite a lot over the last few years, and I think it's an area that we've seen a huge amount of opportunity, but also a lot of needs for the businesses. So I'd say that I think we've really always, I think when people have talked to us, talked about us, they've mentioned open table. So we're the open table for activities, and that really is about serving both of those needs. And so I'd say that I think what we're seeing is actually us, doing even more around being the business that helps merchants get all the software they need to run their business, as well as a place for consumers to come and book activities. And I think there's been a few things that we've done, like this week our partnership with Google went live. So Reserve with Google means that if you're a consumer and you're looking on the Google homepage, you can instantly book activities through Peak directly from there. And so that's a way for us to be able to help our operators that work with us get more bookings, whilst also making sure that they have great tools to run their whole business on the back end. So I'd say, I think we are different, and I think we sit in a different spot to kind of the more classic OTA companies and the more classic booking systems, because we're actually meeting both needs.
Okay, so earlier on this year, on the M&A front, we had two, fairly significant acquisitions. The first one by Trip, and the second one by Booking Holdings.
Yeah.
So, and they came 24 hours after each other. So it was this tumultuous week, or whatever you want to frame it. But what was your kind of thoughts around that, given that they could potentially have bought you, for example?
Yeah, I think our perspective is really just all of the stuff that's kind of coming into the space, like the fact that there are bigger companies kind of coming in and saying this is a really important space. And I think we haven't mentioned some other things, but you Airbnb and Airbnb's experiences. You have these fundraisers happening with Klook and Get Your Guide. I think really what we're saying is this was a space that for the last kind of 10 years was considered an area that wasn't really potentially ripe or ready to come online. And I think what we're really seeing is a whole load of changes that are saying this is really interesting. If you're somebody who touches consumers who might be traveling or who might be in a destination, they actually want great experiences. This is a central part of why people go to places. And I think what you're seeing is just, a coming of age in some ways for this space. It's the reason we have this conference. And I think it's actually really exciting for our space. I think that you're going to see more and more happening. I do think there are some fundamental issues that are still there. And I think the reason that you're seeing people kind of start to look at the booking systems is just because clearly a lot of businesses still need to come online. And the vast majority of operators aren't online yet.
So you're of the view that there's just enough growth and space for everybody?
You can definitely see that. I'm sure you can see there's 1,100 people at this conference that didn't exist 2 years ago, right? And so I think that the space, depending on the estimates, is somewhere between 150 to 180 billion dollars. That's a lot of activities that are happening. And actually, I'd say that the space is going to get bigger, and so that we're fortunate to be one of the companies that's been able to have a lot of innovation and bring a lot of innovation in the space and help thousands of businesses come online, with tens of thousands of activities that are available. So I think we're really excited, and actually a lot of feedback that we're getting is, we love your tools, we love the fact that you guys are doing both sides. It's really important for us, and actually I think we're really carving out. We're the largest independent player in this space, and we're really excited about that, and want to do more, and I think there's a lot of opportunity in terms of what we're going to be doing with merchants.
Someone said on a panel earlier, they were talking about those acquisitions of B2B companies. I don't know if you saw it. It was Peter Simon. He said,
Okay.
If you are a technology provider that was essentially a reservation system for the last 10 years, and those big acquisitions have now been made, they're in a tricky spot. Would you agree with what he's saying?
I didn't catch the full context, but look, I mean, I think
It was when he was referencing the acquisitions
I'm
of
afraid
Boken and Fair Harbour.
Okay, yeah. I mean, look, like I think there's actually tremendous opportunity. We're definitely seeing it, and I think that we're signing up more and more merchants every single week, right? Not less. And so I think those acquisitions are actually just showing how much there's a need for software in this space, and I think there's more opportunity than there's ever been before.
Okay, so yourselves and a few others have mentioned the Google development this week.
Reserve with Google,
You're one of the partners. There's a couple of others here that have been talking about it.
I think one other company.
Yeah. What does that say to this this crowd here now, that Google is suddenly taking an interest as well in a serious way with Turing Bird and all the other things that people like Lax have been involved in and stuff?
But Kevin, you just talked about it. Like there are several companies that they're taking a serious interest. So I think that what we're recognizing is this is a space that needs to come online, where consumers are demanding experiences, and actually they're booking pretty last minute, right? And so, certainly at peak, we see about 60% of our activities happen last minute through our peak processing. We've got millions of bookings that are happening. And so I think what we're really seeing is interest from a whole host of companies, recognizing the activities is a market that has not had the kind of penetration that you've seen with restaurants or flights or hotels. And so there's a lot of catching up to do. And I think over the next 3 to 5 years, a handful of companies like Peak are going to have a big impact on what happens in this industry, and I think a lot of people want to get involved in that. So I think Google, with the Reserve with Google, have done this in other verticals. So they've done this with
there's quite a number of partners that they have already. But
they've done it in different spaces, and I think right now with activities they've gone live with us in the US and another partner in Europe, and really we've been able to work with them to help shape their APIs and how they thought about it. And I think what they're seeing is their customers want to book experiences, and there wasn't a way for them to do that. And this is a really exciting step, I think, for the activities industry, where you have opportunities for people to surface these experiences and make them very easily bookable. Because before it was, you can see it, but you're going to have to make a lot of phone calls. And I think we're seeing that change from phone calls into online booking, and I think consumers are really demanding that. Mobile's huge as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, often an analogy or a metaphor when you're talking about an industry and the way it's evolving. Some people say that we're in the Wild West part of the development of such an industry. Where would you say tours and activities as a whole is now? Has it gone past the Wild West, or is it in that phase now, or are we in something else entirely?
I don't know that the Wild West comparison is for me as relevant. I think it's more like, we're in, if I was going to compare it to like real estate industry, it's kind of the move from something originally like Realtor.com into Zillow and Trulia, which were these kind of mobile and very kind of like online dependent things, where you kind of took stuff that was a whole lot of listings into how do we completely rethink the experience and get everybody online. And so I think when you look at those businesses, they were able to really redefine their whole industry and bring them online, or Open Table and what they did for the restaurant space. So I think we're probably very early still, and there's a lot more opportunity. And I think this is a space where actually you're going to not only see there being lots of activities that kind of emerge and come online, but actually whole new segments that are existing. Like I'm sure you guys have seen this, there are types of experiences with, hundreds if not thousands of businesses emerging over the last 3 or 4 years that didn't exist at all before. Yeah. So I actually think this space will get a lot bigger, and I think when you look at consumers, they want to spend more of their money on experiences, not products. Yeah. And so I think we're going to see so much more happening here, not only in terms of everyone coming online, but more businesses emerging that didn't exist before.
Okay, so last question, Ruzwana. I mean,
sure.
Dermot Halpern from TripAdvisor was saying, you know, they've got this, they just want to get everybody online. That's their kind of mission, and one of the reasons why they purchased Boken and things like that, which is a very kind of altruistic way of looking at it. And that's obviously perhaps the number one challenge for the industry, is just getting more supply online.
I think it is, yeah.
What do you think is number two challenge for suppliers?
You know, I think number one is so paramount. You know, if I'm being honest,
Right,
like I think if you know, so I think that kind of supersedes anything. But like if you were going to kind of come up with the next, I think it's actually about delivering a great customer experience. And I think the biggest thing that we hear from merchants is, how do you enhance communication, especially when it's online? A lot of the businesses, they're running around, and like mobile has been a huge opportunity to increase the experience that a consumer has and make sure that they're delivering a better experience. And so I think the second challenge I think businesses have is, how do you make sure that everybody who comes has a great time, and how do you make sure that all of the ways in which they're touching your business means that they have an experience that makes them want to come back again and tell others it was great. Those are probably the two biggest areas that we see. I think over time you'll also see businesses wanting to try and figure out how they can get more customers and how they can grow. And I think there's a whole load of channels that are emerging for that. I think, you know, Reserve with Google might be one, or some of the stuff we do with Peach.com, or frankly a lot of other things that they can do with their own website. A lot of what we focused on for businesses is around really helping them increase their online bookings from their own website, and that's made a big difference in terms of them being able to own their own future, and a lot of marketing integrations that we do. So businesses are doing more themselves around their own kind of marketing that they do, whether that's through Facebook or SEM or other things, and empowering them to have the tools that they need. So I think that's also going to be an emerging area, as there's more sophistication from businesses around how they can find new customers and how we can all help them do that.
Okay, Ruzwana, Bashir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.